Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, whenever you may be listening to the Newsmax Daily Podcast for Thursday, June 20th, 2024, 6/20/24, the 25th Thursday of the year, the third of 4 this month, and the day of the summer solstice. Finally, commonly referred to as the longest day of the year, right? It's the day with the longest amount of sunlight, or daytime, the longest day, ushering in summer. Obviously, we still only have 24 hours in the day, unfortunately. You heard about the 2 environmental protest whack jobs that attacked the 5,000-year-old prehistoric Stonehenge landmark in UK, right? With orange paint ahead of today's annual gathering there for the summer solstice. The BBC is saying that the powder paint was removed and there is no visible signs of damage to the stones. The protesters were arrested on multiple charges yesterday but were released on bail. Then this morning, 2 more whack jobs from the same group. Just Stop Oil protesters spray-painted 2 private jets at Stansted Airport north of London. They were also arrested. See, they need to make the bond so big that they can't come up with the bail, right? And then if and when they're convicted, number one, convict them and give them some time so this kind of BS would stop already. I don't know what kind of jail time or punishment can go with defacing a historical site, but if they knew that they could face some real jail time or major fines that would financially impact their lives, this would come to an end. President Biden, the First Lady, celebrating the summer solstice at their Delaware beach home. They arrived there late Tuesday night after a campaign event in Virginia. After resting up yesterday, they're headed to Camp David later today. Did you see the fake take edited video of President Biden having difficulty getting into the SUV last night, right? Not only is the whole world watching President Biden and former President Donald Trump for that matter, but Vladimir Putin's visit to North Korea that I mentioned yesterday is getting a lot of airtime, as it should.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un rolling out the red carpet for Russian President Vladimir Putin. The two signing a new partnership when it comes to security, trade, investment, and cultural and humanitarian ties. The two leaders participating in an official welcoming ceremony in North Korea's main square. As you see, major event, military presence here, and thousands of people cheering on this meeting. Joining us now, Rebecca Grant, Vice President of the Lexington Institute. It's a conservative think tank focusing on defense and security policy. Walid Phares is a former foreign policy advisor for President Trump's 2016 campaign. Welcome to you both. Rebecca, we'll start with you. Just the significance of this mutual defense pact between Putin and Kim Jong-un.
This is terrible news. I mean, remember, there are not many places Putin can go. But the fact is they've deepened this relationship. North Korea is supplying ammunition and missiles for Russia to use in Ukraine. We've seen that happen already. What they're getting in return, I'm afraid to say, is access to Russian nuclear weapons expertise. Kim wants to put together a North Korean triad with long-range missiles, subs, all that. And he needs Russia's help to get the technical aspects of nuclear warhead mating correct. And this seems to open the door for Russia to help North Korea with its nuclear arsenal. Really bad news. And
Rebecca, just a quick follow on that. What does this mean for the ongoing war in Ukraine?
Well, this means that the Russian forces, who fire a lot of ammunition every day, have a pretty deep locker. This is all Russian or old Soviet ammunition coming now out of North Korea and helping to supply them. And of course, China looking on and having no problem just in approval of all of this. And it means that Russia can continue to fight without having to worry as much about sanctions.
National Security Analyst Rebecca Grant of the Lexington Institute on National Report with Newsmax host Emma Reckenberg.
I wanted to pivot now to the war in Israel. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is issuing arguably his sharpest criticism of the Biden administration yet. In case you missed it, here's that moment.
When Secretary Blinken was recently here in Israel, we had a candid conversation. I said I deeply appreciated the support the U.S. has given Israel from the beginning of the war. But I also said something else. I said it's inconceivable that in the past few months, the administration has been withholding weapons and ammunition to Israel. Secretary Blinken assured me that the administration is working day and night to remove these bottlenecks. I certainly hope that's the case. It should be the case. During World War II, Churchill told the United States, "Give us the tools, we'll do the job." And I say, give us the tools and we'll finish the job a lot faster.
So in response to this, Axios is reporting the U.S. had canceled a high-level meeting. Again, this would have been with Israeli officials here after this was published, apparently just enraging some of these Biden staffers and top advisors. They were reportedly, Walid, angry and shocked by what they describe as Netanyahu's ingratitude. Talk to me about the impact that this video clip could actually have on U.S.-Israeli relations.
I can assure you one thing. The Biden administration special team dealing with Israel knew about it for not just for a few months since October 7th, but since the beginning of this administration. It was bound to clash at the end of the day. After 4 years of Trump formal support, very, very powerful support to Israel and to this government, we saw immediately after a Biden administration was formed positions to go back to the Iran deal. And going back to the Iran deal means putting pressure on Israel. Came October 7, then those positions were even further clarified just by asking Israel for a ceasefire despite its operation against Hamas being on our terror list. That was also raising a lot of flag. And now, obviously, I think that the Israelis have understood that they're not going to get anything strategic before the elections, because they saw what is happening in the United States. They saw the pressure on the Biden administration. They saw the negotiators of the Iran deal putting pressure on the president to put pressure on Netanyahu. So what we're seeing right now basically is the result of 3 to 4 years of a change of the Biden administration from what was before.
Yeah, could signify a break in this relationship that had been strong, or at least appeared to be strong.
That's former foreign policy advisor to the Trump campaign, Walid Phares, on National Report, which begins at 9 a.m. Eastern, right after Wake Up America on Newsmax. So the Biden administration is facing increased tensions on the international front as well as here at home. By the way, the White House issuing a statement essentially saying they don't know what Benjamin Netanyahu is talking about, that nearly all of the military supplies and ammunition has been delivered. This is military historian and author Victor Davis Hanson on Frontline with Carl Higbie.
Sir, I look at this and look, obviously I'm working today, so, here we are talking about it, but it's like, I mean, come on, at least show a glimmer of addressing the issue at hand and not attacking your political opponent for everything when you know your policies suck.
Yeah, I think what's happening is we're watching a kind of a meltdown. And what I mean by that is it's more, this dissatisfaction with Biden is more than just his dementia or his obnoxiousness. They're starting to lose groups that they had counted on, and they're aware of it. Blacks, Latinos, young people, college educated. That wasn't supposed to happen. And so as this starts to transform, they look at the polls in the swing states. They alternate from denial, this can't be true, or the electorate is crazy, they're deplorables, they attack them, or they say Trump is going to put us all in camp. But it's all part of this fear that's starting to look like 1980 or 1972, the McGovern-Carter thing. That they were very close races until, as you remember, until July, August, September. Right. And then they started to distance. And I think a lot of this is paranoia on their part. And part of it is projection, as we've talked about. They know that if they had taken power again and they were in a position that Trump is, and they had suffered from what they did to Trump, they know what they would do in return. And I don't think Trump actually is going to do what they would do, but they think he would, because that's exactly what they would do. Right. So it all contributes to this paranoia they have. They're really kind of losing it. Yeah. They're so angry, and I don't know. They don't have a solution yet. Yeah. And then the pandering, very quickly, the more they pander, the more they have the amnesties, the student loan forgiveness, the petroleum reserve draining, pressuring the Fed to lower rates, the few thousand votes in Michigan, sell out Israel, get the tariffs, the more that it seems more and more obvious that it's too late and too little, and at the expense of the general interest of Americans, just for these constituencies that they think they can patch together to get a majority. And I don't think that's working either, and they don't think it's working.
No, and look, Rachel Maddow, he's not going to put Rachel Maddow in a re-education camp, right? Because he didn't do it in the first 4 years. But I want to talk about this coming up debate. The left, obviously they're panicking about it. And I mean, listen to Joe Scarborough, hard at work doing his usual propaganda spin for the White House. Listen to this.
That's Donald Trump. He cannot debate Joe Biden on the merits. So he's going to be a disruptor, and the Biden team better be prepared for Donald Trump to walk. I mean, what would a disruptor do? Okay, you're going to cut off my microphone. I'm going to walk over to your microphone, and I'm going to get in your face. I'm going to confront. He could do that. He could do, imagine the 10 most disruptive things that Donald Trump could do.
Imagine, sir.
Well, Donald Trump didn't suggest that the debate would be the only one in history to take place before either candidate had been nominated by the party. That was the Democratic idea, and we know why it was. This is a stress test from the Democrats, and they're going to put Joe Biden out there, and because they're afraid that he'll melt down later when there's no remedy. But now they can still put somebody else on the ballot. They can have an open convention if he implodes. So Joe Scarborough knows that this was all dreamed up for the first time in history to put Joe Biden in a position where if he performs as some in his own party fear, there's going to be a remedy, and there won't be a remedy if they had waited till, September, October. So they're worried, and if Donald Trump, I think if he keeps calm and just debates him on the points, it'll be an easy debate.
Well, Joe Scarborough also said that he wouldn't be able to debate Joe Biden on the merits, which I actually think you're right. The merits of the issue are the only thing that Donald Trump needs to use to debate.
That's all he needs to do.
Stay calm and stick to the issues. Two excellent suggestions for the former president, who could turn off some of the people that he finally has on his side of the fence if he gets too aggressive during the debate. I mentioned this a few days ago, but Morning Schmo also said a few weeks ago, I think it was after the State of the Union, so a while ago, that this is absolutely the best Joe Biden we've seen in his 50-plus years. Come on. And this is Biden's new campaign ad.
In this moment, how will we continue our legacy? How will we continue to define America? With our hard-earned rights under attack from those who look to divide the nation. And with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, we're ready to face the future. Together, we can't stop now.
When you see that TV spot, you will see that the only white person out of the dozen or so people they show in the commercial is Joe Biden. If you are a white Biden supporter, how do you feel that they completely don't give a crap about you? And more black people are waking up to their phony, divisive message as well. We get more from Rob Schmitt.
It's going to take more than that to stop the bleeding, though, after decimating the quality of life for black Americans with a migrant crisis dumped right into their cities and absolute total unaffordability of life. We know that. In truth, no actual work to help black Americans live better in this country is really being done, though. That's the crazy irony of this. Axios reporting Biden's political aides are claiming the White House is ignoring America's most pressing issues and are focused solely on selling Trump as a felon who threatens democracy. Those aides are increasingly dubious about his theory for victory in November, which relies on voter concerns about J6, political violence, democracy, and Trump's character. Biden's top aide is now claiming by November, Americans will be solely concerned about democracy and January 6th. I don't know what kind of concoction he's got. That's Mike Donnell in there. They believe they can keep screaming democracy and win as they decimate your lives. And we're going to be so infatuated with democracy and January 6th by November that we're all just going to vote for Joe Biden. That's his top aide. On immigration, new polling shows nearly 40% of Democrats and more than half of Latinos now endorse the Trump plan for mass deportations. So that's what they're ignoring, right? 40% of their base wants mass deportations. more than half the Latinos in the country.
That is Rob Schmitt, host of Rob Schmitt Tonight. The first two scheduled debates between Trump and President Biden takes place 1 week from tonight at the CNN studios in Atlanta with a host of never-before-seen rules and regulations. It would be awesome if Trump could have video from the border running behind him every time he got to speak, right? A little more than 2 weeks after that, Republicans kick off the conventions in Milwaukee, July 15th. The Democratic National Convention isn't until August. That's in Chicago. At the RNC is when Donald Trump says he will announce his VP pick. One of the men on that list that has gotten much shorter in recent weeks is Dr. Ben Carson. The list has gotten shorter, not Dr. Ben, Trump's former Secretary of Housing and Urban Development.
Let's just get this out and off the table here. You know, everyone knows you're this vice presidential, Veep stakes here. New York Times saying, don't count him out just yet. I am not counting you out. I know you probably cannot confirm or deny some of these rumors, but what can you confirm for us here and our amazing viewers at Newsline today? Is it something you're looking for, interested in, ready to jump if the call comes?
I can confirm that I am foursquare behind saving our country, and we'll do that from inside the government, outside the government, from anywhere, because that's my commitment. And the nice thing about the VP suite that's going on right now, we have a wealth of very good candidates. But the key right now is making sure that we get Donald Trump in place as the president. We don't want to distract from that.
Well, we'll take it as it is there, and we will watch it in play. Obviously, we think it may be announced in Milwaukee, where the RNC is. You know, this rally yesterday in Wisconsin and how they tried to twist his words about what he said about Milwaukee. A lot of hardworking Americans, they're just not in a good place economically. We can get into the border in just a second. But Trump was also recently in your hometown, Detroit, talking about what is going on in the black community, the inner cities. Biden won Detroit 94% of the vote in 2020. But this is a very different year, and black conservatives are, and in general, places like the Bronx, we've seen them come behind Donald Trump. Is it just the economy, or is it more also of a culture shift where Democrats have really pandered so much that it's too late in the game for Joe Biden to catch up here?
I think it's the fact that people are just waking up in general. The economy is a big factor. There's no question about that. That affects everybody across the board. But people are also looking at what's going on at the border and asking themselves, do we have a government that is looking out for us, or a government that is looking for political favor? And that we look at the way that we use or don't use our energy, the way that we are putting mandates in front of economic development that is caused by demand. That's what we've done in the past. We let the market forces determine what things rise to the top and what things sink to the bottom. Now we have a government that wants to do that. And then perhaps the most alarming thing, and I think people are recognizing that, is when you have a political party that's using the Department of Justice to persecute and prosecute their opponents.
Well, that's the final straw.
We are in a very bad place. Yeah, absolutely. Right. Everybody realizes that.
They do. And I think they realize, too, Joe Biden's just not all there.
That is Newsmax host Bianca De La Garza with Dr. Ben Carson. And you will likely hear a lot about the state of Louisiana today. This after the governor, Jeff Landry, signed a bill yesterday that requires a poster-sized display of the 10 Commandments in all public classrooms, from kindergarten to state-funded universities. The bill requires that the posters of the 10 Commandments be up in every single classroom by the start of 2025, which, amazingly, is 6 months from now. Opponents of the bill already promising to file a lawsuit challenging the constitutionality of the bill. Supporters are saying that it is not solely religious and argue the historical significance of the 10 Commandments. Regardless of how you feel about it, every classroom means it is going to cost the state some money to produce and hang thousands of those. Wall Street reopened this morning after being closed in observance of the Juneteenth holiday yesterday. Markets opening mixed with the NASDAQ in the green, the Dow slightly lower. AI stocks again remain in focus. Keep up with all of the news all day long on Newsmax, Newsmax Plus, and Newsmax.com. If you are not streaming on the new Newsmax Plus, go to NewsmaxPlus.com, get signed up. You can also get a free trial. It includes all of your favorite shows and hosts. Rob Schmitt, Greg Kelly, Greta Van Susteren, Carl Higbie, Bianca De La Garza, Wake Up America, analysis from people like Governor Mike Huckabee, former acting Attorney General Matthew Whitaker, Rick Grinnell, Professor Dershowitz, Judge Napolitano. There's documentaries, special programming, Trump rallies, and more. NewsmaxPlus.com. I'm Tony Marino. Thank you, as always, for listening to the Newsmax Daily. Whatever time you're listening, I appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your day. Today is World Tapas Day, by the way, so maybe partake in eating some tapas. And keep on fighting the good fight.
News breaks every minute, every day. You need the app, the Newsmax app. Find it free on your smartphone store. Then watch us anytime, anywhere.
It's our America. We conquered it. We built it. Great values like honesty and fairness. Great courage. A great nation needs a free press. Newsmax is it. 30 million Americans regularly go to Newsmax when they really need to know. They watch Newsmax TV at home. On the free Newsmax app, they go to Newsmax.com. Start today. Newsmax is real news for real people.